Hey, what's up, guys, people, and fellow ambassadors? Welcome back to the Ambassadors channel. We're here. It is all about motivating you, the people of God, to be true disciples of Jesus Christ. If this is your first time tuning in, I want to say thank you very much for doing so. Do me a favor, go ahead, watch this video all the way to the end, and don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Also, go back and check out some of my previous videos and let me know what you think about those as well. And if you did not hit the subscribe button the first time, go ahead and hit it now for me when you're checking out those old videos that I've done in the past. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and take a quick look at Genesis chapter 26, verses 1 to 3, and then verse 12. So it says that, and there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn, that word sojourn, I'm in verse 3 now. Sojourn mean stay here, or temporary stay, or stay for a little while. That's what the word sojourn means. So it says, Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto thy father Abraham. So here it is. It's worth me mentioning this, and for clarity, that back in those days, the days of antiquity, that Abraham, Isaac, all those guys, Jacob, they were nomads. They were nomads. They were not possessors of land. They didn't own any land, other than the livestock and the wells that they've dug for water and spring water and things like that. And so whenever there's a famine going on back in those days, they're going to do what nomads do. They're going to break down the tents, pack everything up, and move to greener pastures. And so that's what Abraham did in his time and age and days when there was a famine in his days. He packed up, went down to Egypt, because Egypt was one of those places that was always bustling. Egypt always have something going on. They were always thriving and surviving. And so Abraham went down there during the famine and was sustained and survived. So here it is now, fast forward, Isaac, his son, is experiencing a famine in his time and age. And guess what? He's doing what the nomads do. He's breaking down the tents, packing up, taking the family, the cattle, and everything, and they're getting ready to go down to Egypt because Egypt is bustling. It has everything going on. So they're in the land of the Philistines. And so the Lord appeared to him and said, hey, I'm paraphrasing, Isaac, do not go down to Egypt. Do not go down to Egypt. I want you to stay where I'm going to tell you to stay. And so God ended up telling him to stay right where he is. Stay right where you are in the land of the Philistines. Now I want you to catch this. He's telling him to stay where there is a famine, where a famine is going on. And so the risk in that is that they're raising cattle. So if there's a famine, there might not be enough food for them and the cattle. The well might dry up. Not only that, there are strangers on this land, on the land of the Philistine. So now these are more mouths that got to be fed. Look, they got to feed their cattle. They got to feed themselves. And so depending on how bad the famine get, the Philistine could say, hey, you got to leave. You got to go. Right now, you got to leave. But God came to them and told him, stay here in this famine. And what I can glean from that right now is that to share with you that we can use today in our everyday living is that God puts you somewhere. But if God placed you somewhere, no matter how bad it gets, unless God tells you to leave because he put you there, then it's not time to go. Unless God, give you some kind of instruction, some kind of direction, it's not time to go. It's time to remain there. Even though things look gloomy, look like it's not working out the way it's supposed to or the way it used to, God have you there for a purpose and a reason. Just like he told Isaac not to stay. And this is what he said to Isaac. He said, Isaac, don't go. Paraphrasing again, stay right here and I will bless thee. So let's jump to verse 12 now. So verse 12 says, Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. So, so remember, God told him back in verse number 3 that I'm going to be with you and I'm going to bless you. And then we jump over to verse 12, and it says God blessed them. But God did not just bless him just because he stayed in the land, right, and didn't do anything. God blessed the work of his hand. In other words, let me just get straight to the point. In other words, God used the work of Isaac's hand to be a conduit and a channel for the blessings of God to manifest in his life and the life of his family. What am I saying to you? Reminding myself, and I'm sharing with you, that wherever God place you, wherever God have you in that moment or for that season, wherever he have you sojourn in for that season or that moment, that is prime ground for you to sow in. The word sow, when we hear sow, we usually think of giving tithes, giving money. But the word sow is a metaphor for investing time and energy into doing something productive. That word sow, I'm saying that word sow in the Bible is also used as a metaphor for investing time and energy, putting your hand to work. So wherever God has placed you, it is good ground. If you know God have you there, that is good ground for you to start to sow in. How do you sow? You begin to put your hand to work. It could, if you're in a church, put your hand to the greeters ministry, the usher ministry, the parking lot ministry, the maintenance ministry, the outreach ministry, whatever ministry there is, put your hand to work because God placed you there. You know God placed you there. Put your hand to work because he's going to use the works of your hands as a channel to bless you, as a channel for the blessing of God to manifest in your life and your children's life, even though you're in a bad situation, even though you're in a bad circumstance, God's still going to use that to bless you. So it doesn't matter where you are. If God tells you to stay there, he's going to bless you. But don't just stay there and complain. Stay there and put your hand to work, because that is one of the channel or the avenue that God blessed us with. When we put our hands to work, he used our efforts to bless us. Let's take another look at it. It says, then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold. In other words, everything that he put his hand to, God increased it and multiplied it. Let me say that again. God increased it and multiplied it. Everything that he put his hand to, God increased it and multiplied it. Why? Because he was in the place where God told him to be. He was in the place where God told him to stay. And he didn't just stay there. He put his hand to work right where he was, and God blessed it and multiplied it. Even though at that time he could have left, because Egypt was a better alternative than where he currently was. Egypt was looking much better than staying in the land of the Philistines at that time. Egypt had everything he wanted. The Philistine land didn't. They was experiencing a famine. All he was looking at was survival, and him staying where he was taking a chance and a risk of his cattle dying out, all the wells drying up, and the people of the Philistine land getting mad at him and kicking him out. But he heard from God, stay here in this place where it's uncomfortable. It's not the best place. It's not where you want to be. It doesn't make sense. It goes against logic, but I'm telling you to stay here, because here is where your blessing is going to flow from. I hope you enjoy this small teaching. God bless.